Hey guys, Boris here, bringing you another WOD review. Many of the top players are still recovering from the battles fought during the last set or preparing for tournaments such as EWC or the Trials, Cups and Pro Circuit events that are going to happen quite early into this next set, since it's going to be a little bit of a shorter one. The practices are in private, however there are always a few legends that we can count on being there for us, and such as the Tleyds right here, going to be playing in a high NA Challenger ELO in-house lobby, and we are starting out with a Teemo pair, something that you can consider playing around, but for me appealing here would have been the decision to still hold on to this Rek'Sai here. One of the main ways you gain advantage into this set is by playing around the econ generator, such as the Primordials, printing your units. Ezreal here with the Timebreaker being a possibility to hold on to the printers, free rerolls going to be even better option than the Bard last set. However, it seems that he's going to try to test out the Shepherd, which is a summon trait and in general should be a good strength combat power into the early game. Coming up in an augment selection right now, we probably were looking forward to either a Shojin Slam or a Spirit Visage Slam if we were, but however we didn't manage to really upgrade our board, so even though we have the extra unit, we might be potentially more leaning into a loose streak option. Therefore, something like Electro Charge is definitely not appealing right here, or we have to be sacking the stage and playing into some form of reroll board and capitalizing on the strength is going to provide us there. Pandora's item, is going to be something that we would want to also accelerate either item economy or be playing for a very specific biz. However, here Expedition Augment is a very appealing of an option. It's a new augment introduced to celebrate Clair Obscure absolutely sweeping the game awards last year. And actually the cash out is quite strong, however it does nuke your econ quite a bit and it's going to be definitely better in econ starts. However, we know that one of the gods in this lobby is going to be Ari, that can make up for that econ difference that we are going to be offered. As we can see, he's already checking out the augment himself, and yeah, we have Thresh as another one, and Thresh also has the drip econ option possibility. Team building would be more in the reroll, and I believe that was the Aatrox hero augment that is also quite strong, but we do not have any other pieces for either of these reroll augments really here. You would want to be playing them from either having a potential slam right away, or at least halves of a couple of item slams, so that you can definitely spike coming up on that stage 3 and win out from there to secure yourself placements. Now, with the Expedition, if you see there's 33 gold needs to be sacrificed, and generally you're wanting to be cashing this out early stage 4, you're not going to realistically be able to cash it out much earlier. That means you're actually having to sacrifice quite strong, high amounts of cost units, such as we can see him already sacrificing a 3 cost around before that he gained, opting not to play from tempo from the Kai'Sa, which would have worked with a Shojin Slam quite potentially. Now going to sacrifice the Timebreaker. However, I would have possibly slotted in the Timebreaker here just to slot the econ advantage and sacrifice, for example, something like the Meepsy, simply generating those extra resources himself. As again, we're going to be down resources. Like we have already feeding this place 8 gold, right? And if we want to cash out by 4.042, if we just do the math, 33 gold divided by 3 would be 11 rounds of sacrifices. That would put us right onto that for one cash out. Therefore, any kind of other forms of resources that we can gain, or if we have, for example, made 10 PvE round, would be a great spot for this augment. The cash out itself is 24 gold, 2 5 costs, not 2 star, but so simple 5 costs, and a component anvil and a radiant masterwork upgrade that allows you to spike your board immediately from that. And if you're able to play around the 5 costs, which are a little bit weaker in the current meta at the moment, you are definitely able to stabilize your board. Coming up on our boon here, we would definitely want to leaning towards the free rerolls from Ari, especially since we didn't play around the Timebreaker. Simply just getting any form of econ that is going to be so valuable for us, since we're sacrificing so much of it right now in the early game. 3 gold, 2 gold, 3 gold in these early rounds is absolutely immense value, since it compounds with your interest-free breakpoints. Therefore, we just simply have to be taking the rod and have to be taking max gold here, or potential. Do we have anything that could upgrade our board? Again, if you were playing around Primordial is also another definitely a way how you could be playing around this augment, just simply using the drip econ, or in the worst, potentially having a 2 cost you can feed into. This is some augment that I would definitely be looking forward to playing if you have any of those openers available to you. Arbiter could be a potential way as well, if you have one of those builds that can generate you some form of the other econ. Again, econ generators at the moment extremely strong. And we can see the consequences of having been fed already 11 gold here. We are not making either 30 or haven't made it 20 before, so we could have been possibly even 40 gold here. We'll have to check what this position is going to be playing, and we are going to be very low on gold. That means our tempo on the next stage is also going to be quite low, so we're definitely playing on blue streak. Now, we did manage to win the first 2 fights, which is quite good for ourselves. Going to be putting us in a spot where we're not going to be 1 life when we are going up on that stage 4. As stabilizing on a little bit of gold can sometimes just turn your cost value as you queue into a very strong player on stage 4 and simply lose out there, right? I believe that you are still able to feed here onto the PvE round, therefore we are actually having 6 rounds per stage, right? Therefore, if we just do the quick maths, the 11 golds by 3 cost, we are able to completely fine fuse a couple of 2 costs. If you're wanting to align this to spike with our 4-2 roll down, which would be the general case we are looking for, we definitely cannot go 8 faster since we are making these econ thresholds. Going on 4-1 is absolute insanity. As the board hasn't really changed for ourselves, we're still playing around this shepherds, simply just having some form of presence in hopes of killing a couple of units. Could even potentially move this Lysandra to this corner just to simply gain the single target focus on one of these units, but we're queuing into a new with an item slammed on it, and the Veigar is just going to tear our board apart 1 by 1 there. But as we can see, already playing around the timebreaker there on the other side, definitely valuing quite high. And again, our econ is a 30 gold level 5 on 3-2. We're extremely broke, and our item direction is not directly planned out. We have this component and we haven't popped it just because we're not exactly sure what we're going to be playing into. Therefore, either econ or anything that could define our direction would be quite good. Slamming here seems quite appealing. You do not gain anymore the component, which is the sad part, but we get some raw gold that is also going to be quite beneficial actually for our spot. Cosmic Restart could also be actually quite a, sense appealing. Could give us a direction, and our board is actually quite cheap, so we're not too sad about parting with it. Warlords are just simply, we are not exactly sure what they're playing into, and this was just late kicking in, we cannot be clicking that. But slamming here also seems like a potential clear direction that we could be playing around into. Epic roll down, we are in need of more of raw gold and rerolls. Exclusive customization is also in a sense appealing, but simply the strongest econ option, pure raw gold, pure econ gain is going to be slamming here. But that does require us to figure out these items, so we're going to be just simply slamming the Shojin, sorting out the utility with the Morellos, and picking up another tier. Since with the Shojin slam, we're going to be looking at playing around something like a Karma. There are not really that many Shojin holders at the moment in the set, at least from the 4-cost side of things. Therefore, simply going to slam them on the Teemo here, which obviously is an attack speed champion that loves it, but is going to be the best holder for ourselves at the moment. Again, now we're going to be slotting in the timebreaker, finally noticing the play, just generating some form of gold, right? You're going to get these free rerolls from loose streaking. In the previous stage, we could have gained at least already 3 rerolls. It's simply so much worth. With Bard, you had to invest either at the start 8 gold or 6 gold. Now you're obviously sacrificing 2 slots on your field, but the units are not that bad, and you're generally, if you were playing Bard, you were playing from a low streak option anyhow. Coming up on our selection here, if we wanted the bow, we could be slamming the already the Void Staff, but again, 3 rerolls. We just want gold right now. We're broke, and this glove can generally transition into many form of things. Could be a JG if we picked anything up. And is going to be generally, if you are playing for a JG, is going to be the stronger of the options. Going to go for max gold, and the Corki here could potentially help us stabilize a little bit, but we have the potential to slot in Meeple for him if we wanted to as well, or we could just feed this Corki right here to the expedition as well if we wanted to. Seems like that's the place Tleyds is going to be going for, or going to go with the Kaiser. How do we get this Corki in really? I'm not sure. We cannot really level. We would be having to sacrifice the Shepherd to do so. And with the 2-star Mipsy, we might potentially have a stronger of a front line. Alright, so he's going to test out what the Corki items are built. I'm not exactly sure about the IE there doing in good in stats. Generally, Corki is going to have that fate we prepared for him, but we have it Milio right here, meaning he can innately crit. Therefore, any kind of Last Whisper, Striker's Flail, and other form of AD items such as DB and GS are going to be quite good on Corki. Do not build Ion here on this guy, just simply slot into Fate Weaver for him. And does not tie together with the plan that we already picked up a glove right now, but and since we're probably wanting to be using the next belt for the completing the Spirit Message with the open tier in such a scenario. So we should be quite close to completing the expedition right now. Since we have sacrificed a couple of 4 costs as well. But as we can see, if we hadn't taken an econ augment here, we would be in extreme troubles coming up on gold wise. Potentially, even from this HP spot, playing in a 3 cost reroll, unless we had managed to somehow high roll units, is going to be quite bad. But we have picked up the Tom Kench that could potentially help our econ situation a little bit more. Going to be getting the cash out here. We do get the Graves, which is insane in the sense that if you are ever getting an early Graves, you can get this guy stacking up. And if you're able to somehow stabilize your board here on level 8 and make it to level 9 to 2-star him, this unit can absolutely pop off. Now, Graves starts out as a backline caster that we can be playing around more in a form of something like a Rageblade build or a Shojin's build. Guy loves also QSS. In the sense that you're pairing that together with an IE generally, allowing him, but there are also mods how you can build around him, and playing around those is going to be pivotal. We do not know what the best option is right now, but let's see how Tleyds is going to be approaching it right here. Again, looking at we're a little bit poorer side, salvage bin is better in these tempo spots from 2, 1, 3, 2, where you're able to just simply slam the items and then remake them into the line you're going to be playing into. At the moment, it's going to be delayed value in a component, and since we cashed out a component already, I believe we are somewhat clear on our item slams. Crash Test Dummies is a good combat option, but we might be valuing the gold from explosive growth, and that would potentially allow us to play for this winout if we're able to get it to level 9, as otherwise I do not think there's any form of way we're going to be getting to level 9 on pace with this lobby in order to secure that Graves too, as Graves is generally going to be a unit that most boards are going to be trying to cap around. Know your enemy, decent, again, decent option for, especially in a higher lobby where you're able to predict the fights, but at the moment our fight judging, and especially Greg known for his fight judging, is not the greatest of the things. And plot armor is securing a front line. He seems to be wanting this econ option simply to try to stabilize his board. Coming up on our mod selection for our Graves, precision here since seems to be the better of the options. We do not have the option to slam the IE for him, therefore just getting that innate crit for him right away and being able to build something like the Striker's Flare, or in a Last Whisper actually we have nicely complete those 2 items, would be quite good for our Graves. Vex, unfortunately a moment, little out of a favor of a unit. She wants to be holding that Rageblade for sure, and the rest of his itemization we are not 100% sold on what would be the best of the options, but going to be slamming the Radiant Rageblade right there and making the Striker's Flare and Last Whisper as I mentioned, and having picked up the Duo Carrion Karma. But right, with Vex, you're wanting to have her just simply spam attack. She's like the 5-cost version of a Teemo, spamming the attacks in a single player, something like Rageblade with JG, or potentially even something like Gunblade to help you stall is going to be quite good. On up on our next mod selection, this one is a little bit of a tricky one. Simply going to be completing hunt seems to be closer to the 100% crit. That's going to get us a lot of value right away. We have managed to pick up a Rammus too, and excellent that we have this Bramble West Rammus as the best item since he has that AD scaling in itself. Now another thing about Graves is taxing your econ. This 2 gold, a couple of turns might not seem that much, but it's going to compound, especially if you're trying to make your way to level 9. We have a close fight here against Kuram X, and we unfortunately toss around, so now we're going to dropping down to the 2 life state, and we have another boon option here. We have aligned ourselves with Ari, so we're going to be having that little even more econ incoming coming stage 5, but we're wanting to be secure and board strength right here, and we have roll downs. Actually 12 gold here is quite powerful in order to make that econ threshold. Players do not like to gamble on the Stretch so much. Stretch is another one that's going to be good when scaling into the stage 5 if you're able to make there with high lives. And for our item options, changes seems quite nice since it allows us immediately to complete a frontline item. And since we're on last spot, we get to choose big for the 5 costs, and we get the Graves, which is insane. We already Graves paired right away. That's definitely a way how we can maybe try to go for this win out from this spot. Otherwise, this board does not really have that much going for. We have some okay, as Ramos would say, decent front line. But our backline is a Karma that does not really have that much going for her. She only has that Shojin and Morello. And our tank is only 2 itemized since we have leaned into these econ options. I believe that does this give... So now for our build we have the crit chance, so the Heartseeker plus doesn't seem that much. Something that would increase this Graves damage output would be quite decent. Going to go for the Tank Buster, allowing us to go through these tanks, especially strong in this 3-roll meta when these 3-star tanks are coming up. Actually enabling Graves to get through these and trying to... Especially with the Rage Blade, we wanting to be not having these fights. We want these fights to stall as long as possible, right? And if the backliners are just simply unable to free cast because they have the super tank in front of you, you are not in the most prime of situations. As you can see, already mentioning 3-star 3 cost, the Warn 3 coming in right there from Kurum X. There's also another prominent tank in the meta. And we see that there's a player with the Fiora too, so that's also quite of a threat for us. Going to position in a way so that we have the frontline nukes available, and it's starting to map out some of the 5 costs. At the moment we're simply looking for potentially try to form some form of a 5 cost border. Lulu does take out Graves out there, and we win on a single life against Phoenixia here. There's Karma coming in clutch, going to secure us. So now we're just simply looking for another way to complete item, but the insanity happens. The Tom Kench is an absolute oracle for sure. He knows exactly what unit you're looking for sometimes and just prints us that Graves too. So now we're going to actually becoming very strong as these more upgrades are coming online. Going to be getting more damage into this Graves, and we have picked up a Gunblade here that could this generally synergizes quite well with these Rage Blades, allowing you to keep your frontline alive. Any kind of Rage Blade comp tends to love the Gunblade itself. Going to go for a level here now. Since the PvE rounds no longer give you the 2 XP here, at 5-1, your recon interval, your natural leveling interval gets shifted, so we had natural level interval to go to level 9. The 2 XP we gained was from the Ari's boon, but that's going to give you 2 XP again next turn, so you're going to be... See, we are in 6, so your interval is still off, but in general, that would be a nice thing to note here. How we get 8 XP? Okay, we get XP also because we have a Slammin. So we're getting actually 6 XP per turn, so we're going to be just moving our way towards. So if we had done the math, this would have been a natural leveling interval, simply valued, trying to stabilize his board as much as he could because we are on that single life coming on stage 5 with 10 damage being the baseline threshold. And we take a close 1-unit fight here against Aurelion Soul. Seems to be a nice thing to note. If Aurelion Soul, if the mech units are transformed, you're only taking a single extra point of damage rather than 2. But again, we're extremely low on gold, so we simply cannot even take the AP rounds plus here at the moment. We have to be taking another form of an upgrade, and this is where the cost of the Graves is going to be coming in. I'm not sure if holding on to these 6 copies of Rammus at the moment is quite worth it, since we would be wanting to upgrade our board a little bit more. CMC is just going to be valuing this Rammus more. We have enough damage. The Morgana one is not going to be doing too much without the items. And having the last Whisper here on Sona is not a bad play, keeping her close there, and then but she does the board wide ability, she's able to be she has the ability to sunder for you, right? If I recall correctly, Sona does have that opportunity still to be casting the board wide one. That's generally why she loves utility as well. Going to be moving more, just simply stacking this Graves with all the buffs also coming in from Shen. And giving him the command mod from the Sona as well. Going to be printing us that gold this time, which is going to be the best one that we can actually hit in our spot, especially if our plan is to going to be hitting the level 10. And we still want to 2-star these 5 costs as well to simply cap our board as hard as we can. Going to go for more damage on the Graves. And we had to give up on these copies of Rammus, but we seems a little bit back on chasing them. Find a 2-star Shen. Shen is another form of champion that loves the attack speed. Actually, he loves to be ramping and quite likes raw AP quite much. So things like Crown Guard and Adaptive Helm should not be slept on him. But this Graves is simply just seems to be getting every takedown. So we have a malicious modernization almost in this little bit of a form of a way, giving us that 8 gold there, and simply again jumping the mod onto the Graves. Now, would be fun if the Bard would manage to print the Elder Dragon for ourselves at the moment. Well, but it seems that we killed him even before he got to the cast. So now we're going to be making our way to the level 10 as pretty much as soon as you're possibly able to, unless you fully sack. And for our last item here, we going to be just going for a damage item on the Sona. Could have also potentially considered a Shen item right there. But since we have their upgraded and going to be valuing her that way. Now securing a top 4 here for ourselves, and now that this Graves has stacked up so much, this unit is an absolute demon at this point. As long as you're able to keep him safe, with this build, especially with the Radiant item, so many mods, he is an absolute menace to deal with, unless you have some form of backline access that you're able to just jump on him here. And the Stalin with a TG is definitely not going to be it. This one cost reroll comp, although the TF and the Caitlyn reroll have shown that be very strong, simply has no chance, although they still managed to get through our front line, so it's a little closer than you would expect. But here on the top 3 here, another upgrade coming in here for ourselves, just going to be going for the crit chance. And Burn, Wood, and Chill and attack speed, just simply getting more debuffs onto this Graves. Would be nice to synergize with the increased explosion mods here right there. Now, we are on the opposite sides, but we managed to place our Rammus in front of their carry, so this hopefully should be a long enough of a stall, though as he is getting close. And our front line is getting broken into, but the Graves damage is kicking in, and the Sona is not able to finish off the fight, and we're able to pick up a win in a 1v1 now against the Riveting. Going to go just for some form of damage item, I believe, but I mean, Sterix Gauge here, this is not exactly the item Shen would be wanting. I would be looking perhaps to transition the Crown Guard here and just simply move the Sterix Gauge onto this Rammus would be, in my opinion, a little bit of a better play, but we can see how he's trying to make sure that this Rammus is exactly in front of all the carries. That's our only real front line at the moment. And keeping this Grave safe is a pivotal for us, and we are simply able to run through this 1-cost reroll board, sorry, it's 1-cost, but just a reroll board with this positioning that we managed to perform. Very nicely played game by Tleyds here, getting the bailout in form of making sure that he cashes out his expedition on time, sacrificing the econ, identifying that we're going to be needing more and more econ. Even Batari, she did not give us the raw gold in the earlier stages. And then we're getting the bailout with the Tonka and spitting out the Grave Stew for ourselves, which is secure that we're able to make it to this level 9 very high capped board. And this is one way we're able to take out these reroll boards. I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope that you learned something new. And I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.